think one of the hardest parts of the mayor is when you see those events happening in your communities and a little bit of a crisis with
Yeah.
over the emergencies and the flood of 16 and 19 really were pretty impactful to me, and I was worrying about community safety. I remember the 16 flood, I think, in terms of we had the washouts
Yeah.
at 15th Street, the 8th Street was
A
closed.
couple of those iconic photos with the cars.
Photos
and stuff
and it, you know, and it was not anything I would have ever thought of, but at that moment when our entire community was cut in half as a result of that flood, and our seniors in living in Rotary Manor on one side of the community, the hospital on the other, ambulance, fire. We had our firefighters took the initiative to get a fire truck on the south side of town when they started to see it unfold, so that we had fire protection capacity, public safety looked after on the south side of the creek. And it's all that stuff that, you know, as a resident, or when you're not in the role, and all of a sudden you're accountable to the residents who elect you for that leadership, to say public safety is a huge deal for people when you look to a community.
Yeah.
And so that whole event especially was really memorable for me, and as a result of it, we put a real focus and major emphasis on flood mitigation. We were able to we had insurance on the culverts at 15th Street, so that replaced that bridge.
Well, just to stop about that, I was going to ask you, that was, the insurance issue with that bridge, the way, whether it got rewritten or whatnot, is that something that, again, you had a hand in as far as?
That was just the foresight, I think, of previous councils and administration who said they were doing an analysis of infrastructure, and they had a consultant, and the recommendation from the consultant was you really should be insuring some of your infrastructure, your roads, some of your bridges, some of your culverts and things. And so the council and the administration at the time took the initiative to do that. So when that culvert washed out at 15th Street, the insurance covered the replacement of it and allowed us to replace it with a bridge rather than culverts. And so to me now, I look back on that history now of having replaced the 10th Street Bridge, 15th Street, 8th Street under construction. Now having 102nd Avenue done, and hopefully having that infrastructure now will help reduce kind of that risk of impacting by floods. But you know, the one thing we have done, and we've hired some consultants over the years on that whole aspect of flood, man, it's complex in terms of you speed up the flow of the creek, now you create erosion, and if you, so there's always consequences, and every action brings a reaction in this flood planning stuff. So it's been very complex, but really happy that we got some of the infrastructure done. The bridge, we got a grant for the bridge on 102nd, we had the insurance, so basically we've had 4 bridges replaced, and we only paid for the 13th Street Bridge by the library.
Well, and like you say, that's part of running a city, is that infrastructure, and
for sure,
that's part of it.
for sure.
And again, people, you know, they rise when there is controversy, not controversy, but when there is a challenge. And one I can think of is, you know, the Dallas Smith. I mean, it was a pretty light one because you had nothing to do with it. But, you know, what did you learn from that? And obviously you did rise to the occasion. I can think of Brett Kissel doing the same thing online, where he, you know, defended Dawson Creek. And what do you learn from things like that? And specifically the Dallas Smith?
I think every aspect of your role in leadership, you have experiences in both good and bad. And so to me, it's how you learn from those experiences. And to me, I was always trying to be really vocal about my communication on social media, and maintain a real active Facebook site on my mayor's page to try to communicate. Well, you know, there's some things that you learn in terms of that, in terms of how that can impact the reputation of your community and other stuff. And so you look back on, I do lots of aspects of it in terms of with either consequences that were positive and or negative. And certainly that whole aspect with the concerts in Dallas Smith and Headley and some of those things affect the reputation of your community. And that's what is most difficult for me, is the reputation of our city is, or a reputation of a business, reputation of us individually is what's most important.
Well, and you find that and the mayor, if nothing else, has to be a cheerleader for the community in those situations where, hey, you know.
Yeah, you got to be, you know, that's, I think that's part of it, right? People elect you to represent them, and they want to know what you're doing and what you're up to and all of the aspects around that. And so it's a full-time gig in terms of trying to keep up with that, and communication and whether it's in business, in a city council as a mayor, or as us individuals, it's either your number one strength and or sometimes your number one weakness, and you just gotta
But it's
kind of learn from it.
It's there either way.